Do you think that the West Memphis Three would have ever been convicted if they didn't have Jessie Misskelley's confession? Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am diving into the West Memphis Three case. This is a really old case from the 1990s, 93, 94-ish, and believe me, it goes on for quite a while. And actually, this is the case that made me got me hooked on true crime. It's just one of the most riveting stories I've ever heard in my life. And even though it's been ongoing, years of trial and jail time for people, and then an Alford plea that basically releases three guys, and I'll explain all about who these people are in a minute if you don't already know. This case is still not really solved. I mean, nobody knows, and I'm going to dive back into it. Now, let me just say, well, first I'll give you a recap, okay? So on May 5th, 3 8-year-old boys, okay, they were playing in the woods near where they lived in a development in West Memphis, Arkansas. The boys are Michael Moore, Stevie Branch, and Christopher Byers. Okay, so these are 3 boys that went to school that day. And when they got out of school, you know, just like any other day, they all met up with each other on their bikes, and they decided to go to Robin Hood Hills, which is this little patch of woods between their development and I-40 in Arkansas, near a truck stop. And, you know, boys will be boys, right? They'll probably going into these woods where it's heavily lots of brush. Trees are it's dark in there, okay? And there's creeks, and there's even this water pipe thing that goes across the way. I don't forgot what it's called, but anyway, they're probably in there playing cops and robbers, or playing army, or even pretending they're Robin Hood Hills, right? So they're in there, and they're playing that day after school on May 5th, and they didn't come home for dinner time. Remember back in the 80s and 90s when you'd be playing and you'd hear your mom go, "Dinner!" It's 9 o'clock at night. I mean, that's the kind of situation it was at that time, and nobody ever really thought there was any danger. Today, nowadays, we're real kind of a nervous wreck about our kids and where they are at all times and being out after dark. Well, that wasn't the case back in 1993 for these 3 boys. So they don't come home, and they're found the next day in the woods. Bicycles are in the water, and I'm going to be careful of the words I use because of YouTube guidelines. Plus, I don't like to use that kind of language anyway, if I can avoid it. But they were found unalived in Robin Hood Hills. They were left in a horrendous state. And there's all stuff you can look up about this, and you could see pictures online somewhere if you want to. And then there's a big movie that was made about this, and I'll talk about that too in a second. So, I just want to show you the pictures real quick. So this is Stevie Branch, top left. In the middle is Christopher Byers. And to the right, on the top right there, is Michael Moore. Okay, and those are the 3 8-year-old boys. Okay, now, police quickly focus in on 3 local teenagers, Damien Echols, Jason Baldwin, and Jessie Misskelley. And they are labeled there, but I guess I should have done them in order, right? Jessie Misskelley's on the bottom left, Damien's in the middle, and Jason Baldwin's on the right. Now, all 3 of them, the 2 on the right there, Damien and Jason, they were super close friends, okay? And they did everything together. They were playing video games together. They listened to Metallica together. They wore black, and they experimented in lots of stuff opposite of God, okay? And then on the left is Jessie, and they were acquaintances. They knew who Jessie was. He was kind of an oddball, Jessie, and he was definitely on the lower end of the IQ scale. Learning disabled, and had issues maybe that were on the spectrum. But all three of these guys knew each other. Everybody kind of knew each other in West Memphis and in this area. There were a lot of trailer parks that were connected to other ones, and developments that were real close by. They could walk to see each other, and everybody knew everybody. And the kind of fun they had on the weekends were like going into the woods and having bonfires and just going to people's houses, playing video games, laying around and listening to music. A lot of heavy metal. So yeah, they knew who Jessie was. But were they close? No, by no means were they close, but they, crossed paths. So anyway, these three boys, they honed in on him. Specifically, Damien Echols, the one in the middle, because Damien had a dark way about him. I mean, he walked around with a black trench coat. He wore black everywhere, black fingernails at times, and had some, Aleister Crowley, I think it is, or just lots of dark stuff, the occult, things like that. And then Jason kind of was a follower of Damien, but I'm actually gonna revisit that at some point. And I'm only gonna do a segment on Jessie today, pretty much, because I definitely want to dive in a little bit in smaller segments on my show, because I want you to know that even though all three of these ended up getting convicted, Damien Echols put on death row and Jason and Jessie got life, I want to let you know that I had always thought that these three boys, teenagers, were innocent of killing the three younger boys. I had watched the movies, I had done some research, and as of this moment, I'm still leaning towards the fact that I think that they are not guilty of this crime. But I decided to revisit it, and I'm going to start revisiting it now, because I'm going to walk through it on my own and make, I'm older now. I want to have a, fresh set of eyes on it and look at things that I'd never really looked at before. So before I show you what I'm going to show you, let me say that one of the biggest things about what led to a conviction of these three was a confession by Jessie Misskelley. He immediately confessed and said that he was there, and at one point even helped the other two to unalive these three boys. Jessie said he took part in chasing one of the boys, bringing them back to the other two, and then according to him, allegedly, he decided to leave, and yet he wanted no part of it. Pretty soon, when the boys were found, Jessie was taken in for questioning and immediately confessed. And allegedly, it was all based on coercion. And I gotta say, there's a lot of information that would make you believe that he was coerced, right? So I want to listen to Jessie Misskelley's confession, and we're going to do that right now. Okay, so Jessie Misskelley is 17 years old in this recorded confession. He has an IQ of a 72, and he was interrogated and confessed on June 3rd, 1993. Now, they held him off and on for 4.5 hours before they ever started a recording. And keep in mind, they were on him and they were giving him a very hard time for those 4.5 hours. And by this point, he is tired, frustrated, and somebody who is very scared with a low IQ is going to have a difficult time giving an honest, straightforward confession. There was accounts of 12 hours of questioning, but only 46 minutes of that were ever actually recorded. Okay. There are 2 tape sections. I'm going to just play for you the first one. Also, no lawyer or parent was present. Miranda rights allegedly were read 3 times when he clearly did not understand them. So you can make your own determination on what you think. Another thing I want to add is that there's also a written confession that has major factual errors in it when they compared it to the recording. Okay, so the reason why I'm playing this is because I want us to determine if we really do hear coercion here. Okay, there's a lot of people out there that think that his detail about the crime is just so believable that he was there and that he's telling the truth and that this is what he saw and that Damien Echols and Jason Baldwin were there in the woods and the three of them, but mostly the other two, were the ones who perpetrated this crime in Robin Hill Woods. So we're going to listen to it. I'll stop when I think I, hear something that I would like to remark on, but for the most part, I'll try not to interrupt any of it, but I really want to hear just what is the truth here? Is he telling the truth or is this just all made up and he's coerced?
Anything you say can be used against you in court. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
And those are your initials.
Yes, it is.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions and to have him with you during questioning. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
And those are your initials.
Yes, it is.
If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before any questioning if you wish, at no cost to you. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
And those are your initials.
Yes, it is.
If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you will still have the right to stop answering at any time. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Those are your initials.
Yes, it is.
You're up here of your own free will. You
Right.
came up here to answer some questions, and basically we found out some information during those questions. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. At the bottom of this form is a waiver of rights. It says, I have read this statement of my rights, and I understand what my rights are. I am willing to make a statement and answer questions. I do not want a lawyer at this time. I understand and know what I am doing. No promises or threats have been made to me, and no pressure or force has been used against me. Is all that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And you signed the bottom of the form.
Yes, I did.
Okay. It's witnessed by Michael Wayne Allen and myself, Detective Brian Ridge. Okay. Jessie, let's go straight to that date, 5/5 of 93. A Wednesday, early in the morning. You received a phone call, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Who made that phone call?
Jason Baldwin.
All right. What occurred? What did he talk about?
He called me and asked me could I go to West Memphis with him, and I told him no, I had to work and stuff. And then he told me he had to go to West Memphis, so him and Damien went. Then I went with them.
All right. When?
Wednesday.
All right. When did you go with them?
That morning.
At 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I went with them, and then
Now, were you in a car? Whose car were you on?
we walked.
Y'all walked?
All right, we walked, and then
Where did you go?
we went to Robin Hood.
You went to the Robin Hood. Explain to me where those woods are.
By Blue Beacon truck wash.
It's a little patch of woods
Little patch of woods
behind Blue Beacon.
behind it. Right back there behind it.
Okay, here's a map. It's just to give you an idea of the location while you're following through on the story. So there's a development on the bottom. There is a main entrance to the Robin Hood Hills Park there on the bottom right. But the boys, they would always enter at that dead end street where that metal barricade gate is up, right there by the Mayfair Apartments. You can see that the street comes to an end, and that would be where they entered. And just beyond that would be the pipe bridge. And right there, they parked, laid their bikes down, I don't know, and a bike ended up in the water, one on each side is how it was found. Then they would have to cross that pipe bridge, take a right, and begin to walk up to the right and up into those woods there. And where the X is, where it says Discovery, is where the boys were found. Keep in mind that there is a truck stop right there, and it's a main, Interstate 40. There's a major truck stop there. Plus the Blue Beacon was a truck wash. So there was some concern about maybe there was something sinister that happened with a truck driver that was passing through, maybe that was the perpetrator, like some sort of truck driver that was stopping. You hear this stuff all the time, right? Like there's crimes where like you don't want to be near a truck stop because bad stuff goes on in a truck stop. So it's just something to keep in mind. And one of the boys' mother worked at the Catfish Island all the way there to your left. She was a waitress there. That was Stevie Branch's mom. So yeah, this is a map just to give you a little bit of context.
Okay. What occurred while you were there?
When I was there, I saw Damien hit this one boy real bad, and then now he started screwing him and stuff, and then
All right, you've got in front of you a picture that was taken out of the newspaper, I believe. It's got 3 boys, and these are the 3 boys that were killed on that date in Robin Hood Woods. Okay. Which one of those 3 boys is it you say Damien hit? The third picture, which will be
This boy right here?
yeah.
All right, that's the Byers boy.
Okay, right there, I want to say, he points out a boy. He says, is it Michael Moore? And he says yes. And then the cop realizes that it's really not the right one he's pointing to. He's pointing to Christopher Byers. So that's a problem right there.
Christopher.
That's who you're pointing at?
Mm-hmm.
If you'll read the caption, the grisly slaying from left, 8-year-old Michael Moore, Stephen Branch, and Christopher Byers. Okay.
Okay, so he's telling him who each person is so that Jessie Misskelley knows exactly who he's talking about. And there's no, just saying, they're not sitting back and letting him tell them. They're telling them a lot. He's telling him a lot of information first.
So you saw Damien strike Chris Byers in the head. What did he hit him with?
He hit him with his fist and bruised him all up real bad. And then Jason turned around and hit Steve Branch.
Okay.
And started doing the same thing. Then the other one took off. Michael Moore took off running. So I chased him and grabbed him and held him till they got there, and then I left.
Okay. All right. When you get the boys back together, where are you at from the creek?
I was up by the service road.
Up by the service road? Okay. Now, when he hits the first boy, where are they at when he hits him? Are you in the woods? You on the side of the big bayou? You out in the field? Where you
I
at?
was in the woods.
In the woods. Okay, you've been down there in those woods before.
So
Can you describe to me what in those woods, what's the location where you were? Is there a path you go down?
I was down a little path.
All right, where does that path go to?
It lead out there close to the field, close to the interstate.
Okay.
Stuff where I was at.
All
I
right.
was close by the interstate.
When he hits the first boy, and then Jason hits another boy, and one takes off running, where does he run to?
That one, he runs out, going out the park, and I chased him and grabbed him and brought him back.
Which way does he go? I mean, does he going back towards where the houses are? Is he going to Blue Beacon? Is he going out towards the field? Where's he running to?
Towards the houses.
Towards the houses.
Where the pipe is that goes across the water?
Yeah.
Okay.
He ran out there, and I called him and brought him back. And then I took off.
Okay. Well, you came back a little bit later, and all 3 boys are tied.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
And then I took off and went home.
All right.
Okay, right there. He said, I brought the boy back and then I took off. And then he said, when all 3 are hogtied and tied up, he again indicates that I left and went home. But they're going to keep going.
Have they got their clothes on when you saw them tied?
They had them off.
They had already gotten them off. When he first hit the boy, when Damien first hit the first boy, did they have their clothes on then?
Mm-hmm.
All right. When did they take their clothes off?
Right after they beat up all 3 of them and beat them up real bad.
Beat them up real bad. And then they took their clothes off.
And
Then they tied them.
Then they tied them up, tied their hands up. They start screwing him and stuff, cutting him and stuff. And I saw it and I turned around and looked. And then I took off running. I went home. And then they called me and asked me how come I didn't stay. I told them I just couldn't.
Just couldn't stay for that.
I couldn't stand to see what they was doing to him.
Okay. Now, when it's going on, when it's taking place, you saw somebody with a knife. Who had a knife?
Jason.
Jason had a knife. What did he cut with the knife? What did you see him cut, or who did you see him cut?
I saw him cut one of the little boys.
All right, where did he cut him at?
He was cutting him in the face.
Cutting him in the face. All right. Another boy was cut, I understand. Where was he cut at?
At the bottom.
On his bottom? Was he face down and he was cutting on him, or?
He was.
Now, you talking about bottom? Do you mean right here in his growing area? Okay. So
you know what his penis is?
Yeah. That's where he was cut at.
That's where he was cut.
Which boy was that?
That right there.
You're talking about the Byers boy again? Okay.
Are you sure that he was the one that was cut?
That's when I seen him cutting on.
All right, do you know what a penis is?
Yes.
All right, is that where he was cutting?
That's where I seen him going down that. And he was on his back. I seen him going down like that real close to his penis and stuff. And I saw some blood, and that's when I took off.
Were y'all close to the creek at that point?
Yes.
Where was the little boy actually at?
He was close. About.
All right, you know where the bio is.
Right.
All right, and you know where the little creek is that goes out to the expressway. And doesn't have a lot of water in it, but it's got some water in it, and it's flowing through there. Which side of that creek were you on? Were you on the Memphis side of the creek, or were you on the Blue Beacon side of that creek?
Blue Beacon.
On the Blue Beacon. So there's like a tall bank. Where were you at on that bank?
I was standing up at the top.
All right, where were they at?
They was at the bottom.
On which side?
The Memphis side.
They were on the Memphis side.
I was on the...
All right, we're going to correct that even further. That's the east side. Memphis side is the east side. You were standing at the top of the bank on the west side. Were you looking down at what was going on?
I was looking down. And after I seen all that, I took off.
Okay. And when you left, did you hear any more hollering or anything?
No.
All right. You went home. And about what time was it that all this was taking place?
They called me about...
I'm not saying when they called you. I'm saying what time was it that you were actually there in the park?
I was there about 12.
About noon?
Okay, 12 noon. Okay, so we know for a fact that all three boys went to school that day. And I don't think they got out till like 2:30, 3 o'clock. Might be a little later than that. But we know that they were in school at 12 noon. And all three parents were able to confirm it, including the school.
Okay. Was it after school? Had let out?
I didn't go to school.
What these other boys?
They skipped school.
Now he says they skipped school. And you notice he said 12 noon and he continued with, is it after school? Well, why'd you keep asking that? He said it was 12 noon. So that's his testimony or his confession to you, right? But he keeps going.
Skip
They
school.
was going to catch their bus or stuff, and they was on their bikes. So
All right. They were on their bikes. Where were their bikes at?
they laid their bikes down when they came out there to the when they hollered for them, told them to come out there.
Where did they lay their bikes down? That's what I'm asking.
I don't know where they laid their bikes at down there, cause I was behind Damien and them, way behind them.
Okay.
And when they hollered, then I seen the boys.
The little boys came on over.
Mm-hmm.
Had Damien seen these boys before?
Yes.
Has he done things with them before? Or has he just been watching them? Has he had sex with them before? Has he ever had sex with any of them before?
No, he's been watching them.
He's been watching them. You mentioned earlier that at one of the meetings you went to with this cult thing, they had some pictures. Describe those pictures for me.
It had some houses. the trees and stuff.
Okay. Had somebody taken pictures of these boys?
Mm-hmm.
Were they in the houses or were they in these trees when they took those pictures?
They were at the houses.
At the houses. Did they take like one picture of one boy?
It was in a group.
Always three?
It was a group of pictures of three. All three of them.
All three of them would generally be together.
Mm-hmm.
How many pictures did you see altogether?
I just saw one.
Okay. They were talking about pictures the whole time, plural, pictures. And then when they finally asked him how many pictures, he said it was just one.
And it had these same three boys in it?
Mm-hmm.
You're certain of that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, did you say the boys skipped school that day? These little boys did?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
They was going to catch going somewhere, and like I said, Damien and them left before I did. I told them I'd meet them there and stuff. I had to get ready and stuff. I'd meet them there. And it was early in the morning, so they went ahead and met me up. They went ahead and went up there, and then I came up.
Early in the morning.
Behind them.
What time did you get there?
I got there about 9.
9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Of Wednesday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Morning.
And when?
What time is it right now?
Right now?
Yeah. You don't know what time it is?
Do you not wear a watch?
It's at home.
So
My dad woke me up this morning.
your time period might not be exactly right what you're saying.
Right.
But it was like early in the day, but you don't know exactly what time. Okay. Because
I can understand give or take an hour or two. All right. But even somebody who's challenged would know the difference, I believe, between a very early in the morning, like first thing in the morning, you wake up 8, 9 o'clock. That's like early in the morning. You would know it's a huge difference from when they were actually unalived, which was like somewhere between 3:30 and 6:30, somewhere in there. I mean, there's a huge difference in time here. And that they should have stopped at that very moment and backed off of Jessie, because clearly he's saying something completely different than what happened. But they keep going.
I've got some real confusion with the times you're telling me. But now, this 9 o'clock in the evening call that you've got, explain that to me.
Well, after all the stuff happened that night that they done it,
Okay.
I went home about noon. Then they called me at 9 o'clock that night. They called me.
Okay. And what did they tell you on the telephone?
They asked me how come I left so early and stuff. And I told them I couldn't stand there watching it no more, so I had to do something to get out of there.
Okay. Who called you?
Jason.
And you mentioned you heard some voice in the background.
I heard some Damien.
And what else? I think you said that he made the call from his house.
He made a call from his house, and Damien was hollering in the background and said, we done it. What we're going to do if somebody saw us, what we're going to do.
Okay. Now, the knives. Was there one knife, two knives? Was your knife there? Did somebody take you and use your knife? Do you have a knife?
I got one knife.
Where is it at?
It's at home.
Okay. The knife that you said Jason was using,
Mm-hmm.
where is it?
I don't know what he done with it, because after I left, then that's when I don't know what they done with it. After I left, I don't know what they
He
done
didn't
with
tell
it.
you he hid it somewhere?
He told me
Son,
that.
I got a feeling here. You're not quite telling me everything. Now we're recording everything. So this is very, very important to tell us the entire truth. If you were there the whole time, then tell us you were there the whole time. Don't leave anything out. This is very, very important. Now just tell us the truth.
I was there till they tied him up. And then that's when I left. After they tied him up, I left.
But you saw them cutting on the boys.
I saw him cutting on them. And then
So what else left is there after that?
They laid the knives down beside them. And I saw them tying them up. And then that's when I left.
Were the boys conscious or were they
They was unconscious then.
unconscious?
And then
Okay.
after I left, they done more.
They done more.
They started screaming again.
Okay. How were they screwing them when you saw them?
Okay, what I don't understand is how would he know about all the stuff that happened after him? He's clearly saying that they were doing that to the boys, but he had just said he had already left. So that doesn't make any sense to me. And to these police officers, it should be very apparent that this story is very unorganized and it's not a fresh memory at all. If there even is a memory, I'm just baffled that they're continuing to question this boy. I mean, I would have immediately called his parents. I would immediately had somebody come in to evaluate him to see if he was competent to even give a confession. I'm just blown away by it. However, there is another side to this story. There are people out there that do believe that he's telling the truth, and that the first confession, which is this one, is absolutely true to what happened that day.
Jason stuck his in one of them's mouth, and Damien was screwing one of them up the ass and stuff.
Okay. All right, and the one that they were cutting the penis off of, did any of them, or cutting the penis or whatever was being done, did they have sex with him at all?
No.
Did either one of them?
Jason did.
Jason did.
Jason was screwing him while Damien stuck his in his mouth, in that little boy's mouth.
Okay. How did he have sex with that one?
Damien, he was holding him down, right?
Uh-huh.
And Jason had his legs up in the air, and that little boy was kicking, saying, don't, like that.
Okay. He had his legs up in the air. All right. What was to keep these little boys from running off? If just their hands are tied, what's to keep them from running off?
Well, they beat them up so bad, well, they can't hardly move. They have their hands tied down.
Right,
Just sit on them.
You said they had their hands tied down. Were their hands tied in a fashion to where they couldn't have run? You tell me.
They could run. They just had them tied. When they knock them down and stuff, they can hold their arms and stuff and hold them down like where he couldn't raise up. And the other one pick his legs up.
Why is he asking this question if they could run when he just confirmed about 2 minutes ago that the boys were unconscious before he left? I don't get it. Why is he asking that question? I mean, the police are creating a lot of confusion too here.
Okay.
I just...
So they had them under control.
So messed up.
You were there the whole time that was taking place?
I was there.
Okay. One of them was cut on the face real bad. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was being cut on his penis.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Did anyone use a stick and hit the boys with?
Damien had kind of a big old stick when he hit that first one. After he hit him with his fist, knocked him down, then he got him a big old stick and hit him.
What did the stick look like? I mean, was it like a big log like that, or is it a stick?
I'll say it was about that big around. I'll say about that long.
Okay.
About the size of a baseball bat, maybe just a little bit bigger around.
Yeah.
That's what you described with your hands, right?
No.
Okay. How long was the knife that Jason was using? All right, you're describing a knife that would be about 6 inches long. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And what kind of blade did it have on it?
Like a regular knife blade.
Was it a knife that you fold up, or was it like a hunting knife that's just one piece?
Just you fold up knife.
It was a folding knife?
Mm. Here is the actual knife that was used to convict Jason Baldwin. This is a knife that was found in the lake behind Jason Baldwin's house. And as you can see, it is a one-piece hunting-style knife with a serrated edge. And in this confession, if you want to believe that Jessie Misskelley's confession is correct, he clearly states when asked that it was a fold-up. It was a pocket knife. not a serrated hunting knife at all.
Does Damien have a knife?
No,
He doesn't have one? He didn't have one that
he
night?
didn't have one that day.
Did he borrow yours?
No, he didn't borrow mine.
Okay.
Did they have a briefcase with them? You didn't see a
I didn't
briefcase?
see a briefcase.
Okay, he just gave him information. He just said, did they have a briefcase? If that's not leading, I don't know what is.
Not unless they left it there that day before it happened. Not unless they left it there if anybody didn't see it there that day.
Have you ever seen them with a briefcase before?
I seen once that one night, I seen it with them that night.
Okay. What is kept inside that briefcase?
They had some cocaine and a little gun.
Is that where you first saw the pictures of the
Right
boys?
there in Lakeshore.
And you saw the pictures in the briefcase?
I heard when we had that call.
Okay.
He said pictures again, plural. And remember before, he only said he saw one picture.
Now, you have participated in this cult, right?
Yes.
How long have you been involved in it?
Been in for about 3 months.
Okay. Tell me some of the things y'all do typically in the woods as being in this cult.
Warning, this is graphic.
Kill dogs and stuff and then carry girls out there.
All right, what do you do with the girls when you're out there?
Witch room and stuff.
Does just everybody take turns?
Everybody and all have orgies and stuff like that.
Okay.
When you kill a dog, what do you do with it?
We usually skin it, build a bonfire and eat it and stuff.
But when you're initiating somebody new to come into a cult, what actually is done to initiate that person into the cult?
We usually, kill the animals, see if he knows, how to handle the meat and stuff. After we kill it, see if he knows. If he can't handle it, then he don't get in.
Okay. So he kills an animal. You mentioned earlier that he may have to eat part of that animal. What part of the animal would he eat?
All of his meat off his leg.
Meat off his leg.
And if he can't eat it, then he don't get in.
Doesn't get into the club.
Okay, so there were no evidence of dogs, no evidence from witnesses that saw any of these horrible acts in the woods that he's talking about with dogs and other girls. Also, there were no veterinarian reports that came out about dogs being found in this condition. So, again, just making stuff up.
Now, on these meetings, have they ever been violent? Anybody got mad and got in a fight?
No.
Okay. The night you were in these woods, had y'all been in the water?
Yeah, we've been in the water. We was playing around in it.
You were playing around in the water. All right. What were you doing in the water besides just playing? I mean, the little boys, had they been in the water? Did they get in the water with y'all?
No, they didn't get in the water with us.
Okay. What were you doing in the water?
We were just sitting there throwing stuff at each other.
Okay. Were y'all having sex?
No, I wasn't.
You weren't?
No.
Was Damien and Jason having sex?
They take turns going up under the water.
Going under the water? What were they doing under the water?
I don't know. They sit so far away. They go up in the water, stay for about 5-10 seconds, and then come up, and the other one go down.
That makes no sense.
So they were just messing around in the water. All right. They called for these boys to come over there?
Yeah, they seen the boys, and then they hollered. Damien hollered, say, hey, and the boys came out there.
Did they call them by name?
They just hollered, and then they just showed up.
Where did the boys put their bikes?
closed right there before you come in. They laid it down right there. And I don't know what, after I left, I don't know what they did with the body.
You didn't do anything to the bikes at all?
No.
Are you sure?
Positive.
You didn't touch the bikes?
Didn't touch them.
Right. You've been back to this place since that murder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just keep in mind those bikes were way far away from where those boys were found. They were closer to the beginning. When you first walk into the Robin Hood Park, there is like, again, there's a dead end street, and then you have to go across this metal like gate, and then you walk just a little bit, and then there's like a larger waterway with like this pipe bridge. Okay. The bikes were found right there in the water on each side of the pipe bridge. But if you want to know where the boys were found, you'd have to go over the pipe bridge and walk quite a ways, turn to the right. Okay. And then quite a ways, then there's another like stream that continues to go towards I-40. And the boys were found way over there. So they keep asking about the bikes because these police officers know that those bikes are far away, that they're like way closer to the beginning of the entrance. So, I mean, they're grasping at straws, and they're feeding information and guiding Jessie Misskelley more than probably any confession I've ever heard.
Since it took time to place, what did you do while you were there? And be truthful.
I'll sit down there. I just sit there after what they did to the boys. I just sit there.
And did what?
Just thought what happened to them real bad. I just thought.
Okay.
And then I left and stuff.
And stuff.
I just left and walked on.
When did you go back there?
2 or 3 days after it happened. And I left.
Were you there by yourself?
I was there by myself.
Did you go there with some more boys once?
Just me, David, and
To
Dennis.
that particular place?
No, not to that.
Are you willing to go down there with us and us have a camcorder and you show us where these things took place? Could you do that? Wouldn't have any problem with that.
I know if I would.
Huh?
Not that I know if I wouldn't have a problem.
But you would be able to point out where these things took place, which way the boys came from, and where y'all were when he hollered for the boys, stuff like that. You wouldn't have any problem with that?
Because after the murder and stuff, like I said, about 2 or 3 days later after it happened, I went in there and thought about it, and I ain't been there since.
Okay. Let me ask you something. This is real serious, and I want you to be real truthful. And I want you to think about it before you answer it. Don't just say yes or no real quick. I want you to think about it. Did you actually hit any of these boys?
No.
Now tell us the truth.
No.
Okay. Did you actually rape any of these boys?
No.
Did you actually kill any of these boys?
No.
Did you see any of the boys actually killed?
Yes.
Okay. Which one did you see killed?
That right there.
You're pointing to the Byers boy again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And how was he actually killed?
He choked him real bad, like.
Choking him.
Okay, that doesn't make sense because we know that the Byers boy was mutilated in the genitalia. And also, Jessie said earlier, if you remember, he said that they were like in the process of tying these boys up, and that, that would indicate that neither one of them had passed away yet. So they were still in the process of doing what they were doing. So my impression is that the Byers boy was not unalived yet, and he's saying that he saw the Byers boy get unalived. And I'm sorry I'm using that word. It's annoying. I hate that word. But Jessie said he had left. He had left right after he brought, the third boy back. He said that they were in the process of it, and he turned around and left. So I don't understand that.
What was he choking him with?
It's like a stick. It's a real stick.
Choking now. Now we're choking. First time here choking.
To the point where he actually went unconscious. So at that point, you feel like he was dead?
Yeah.
Okay. Did any of the other two boys, were you there when they were actually killed?
Mm-hmm.
You say you got sick of what you were seeing. Did you throw up or anything?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you throw up at?
I got a little bit of ways after.
He didn't say anything about throwing up. I mean, in the beginning, okay, another thing I want to point out is that if he saw the one boy get unalived, that would have been one of the first things that he had said earlier in this confession that we're listening to. He would have been like, I saw him, I saw Damien do this. He didn't say it until way later. I mean, that's like a significant part of the recounting of this story. And it's not being mentioned until 18 minutes into the confession. Okay. And they had already covered what happened before he turned around and walked away and decided to go home. And no mention of choking at all until now.
We took saying that I left about half a mile up the road when I threw up and stuff. I couldn't hardly run or nothing. I just threw up.
When you left from there, did you leave running?
Mm-hmm.
Were you hiding?
I didn't hide.
You had some blood on your clothes?
I had no blood on me. I didn't get close to him.
Were your clothes wet still?
Mm-hmm. They was damp.
Muddy?
He just keeps, they keep feeding him information. Muddy, did you throw up? You said you were sick. Did you throw up? So he adds that he's damp, then adds muddy.
Point. Real close. Now, what clothes was Jason wearing that day, night?
He wears some blue jeans and some boots, like army boots.
Army boots?
Probably wore those all the time.
What kind of a shirt? I mean, everybody wears a special shirt for different things.
He's wearing a Megadeth shirt.
A Megadeth?
Not Megadeth, Metallica.
Metallica shirt. All right. Was he wearing a cap? Anything like that?
No, he didn't wear a cap.
All right. Damien. What was Damien wearing?
Damien had some black pants on.
Black.
Some boots.
Damien always wore black.
And a black t-shirt.
Black.
Right. Was anything on his shirt? No kind of design or anything?
Just black.
These blue jeans that Jason was wearing, they designer jeans? Were they old jeans?
Like he's going to know that.
Holes?
They wore out.
What did they look like?
They had holes in the knees and stuff.
Holes in the knees. What color is Jason's hair?
Blonde.
Bright blonde or like a sandy reddish type blonde? You know the difference?
It's like a sandy color blonde.
Sandy color blonde? Okay. He's wearing blue jeans. He had a Metallica shirt. This is a shirt that's got Metallica across the front of it spelled out and a man's name or something under it, or a picture. Is that right? You tell me.
They had pictures.
Picture of somebody?
Different shirts have, different Metallica shirts got different pictures.
Well, which one did he have?
He had the sky skull on and stuff like that.
A skull. Okay. What were
Did you catch that? He answered Megadeth t-shirt, and they're saying Metallica t-shirt. And then Jessie Misskelley never turned around. He goes, "No, I said Megadeth." He never converted. He just went along with the whole new idea that he was wearing a Metallica shirt.
you wearing that day?
I just wear regular blue jeans, my shoes, and
What kind of shoes were you wearing?
my Adidas.
Adidas tennis shoes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What kind of shirt were you wearing?
I was just wearing a regular, one of my old breezy up t-shirts.
Okay. Was it a design shirt, like this bull run type shirt, or was it just a plain white
Plain white.
old t-shirt? Where are these shoes at now?
A friend of mine got them, he borrowed them.
All right. Who is that?
Buddy Lucas.
Buddy Lucas?
He borrowed them from him.
The boots that Damien had on, are they army type boots too, or what kind of boots were they?
It's close like army type, not quite.
Okay. They're black. Is that right? Lace up? Okay. And Jason's black, lace up?
Jason was black up to about 3/4 wide.
Oh, they come way up on him. Okay. Damien's didn't come up that far? Okay. Okay. When they killed the boys, you decided to go. You went home. How long after you got home before you received a phone call? 30 minutes? An hour? An hour after you got home? Okay. So they were there for a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
When he called you on the phone, did he say you just got in?
Oh, he called me when he first called me. He said, how come I left? I told him I couldn't stand it. I had to do something else.
Okay.
And then
You couldn't stand it.
And then Damien, I heard Damien in the background saying, we done it. What we going to do now? What about if somebody saw us?
Okay. Did anybody see you leaving
No,
that you know of?
that I know of.
Did anybody see Damien and Jason?
I don't know, I left before them.
Or have you heard anybody say that they saw Damien and Jason? You hadn't heard anybody? Okay. Now these initiations, you said they eat part of the leg muscles, leg meat. Would that involve eating part of the penis of the animal? Just the meat?
Just the meat.
Okay. Has Jason and Damien talked to you since this happened?
Mm-hmm.
They haven't talked to you about this?
They ain't say nothing around me. Well, not because I'm around some more of my friends, they don't say nothing.
Well, when you've been by yourself, and I'm sure in the last 3 weeks you've been by yourself with them sometime.
I mean, with Damien, he keeps on asking me how come I left and stuff. And has anybody said anything to me about it?
Okay. What did he say about when you came to the police department? That boy, you seeing that boy in the woods up there behind the Goodyear place. What did he say about that?
He didn't know nothing about that.
He doesn't know that? Okay. What about when you get with Jason by himself?
He keeps on asking me what we're going to do next. I told him I can't do nothing now because I go work with my dad every day. I'll make a good excuse because...
So they're scared. Is that right?
They're scared because after what they did, I told them I just bring a very excuse. I got to work with my dad every time or something. I got to do something.
Well, what do you think ought to be done to them for killing these boys?
I think they need to be put away for a while.
Put away for a while. Do you think they're sick or just mean?
I think they're sick.
They're sick. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add to this statement?
No.
Why did you not come forward with this information?
Because I was scared.
Scared of Damien or scared of the police?
Scared of the police.
Are you scared of Damien now?
No.
Are you scared of the police now?
No.
You're not? So we've treated you well. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
All right. I'm going to conclude this interview. The time is 3:18.
The judge barred this confession from being used in the trial against Damien and Jason. The problem is that as soon as the confession was done and completed, it made front page news and everybody had heard about it and the jury knew about it. They already knew about it and it was being discussed. And the jury foreman said that it was a deciding factor in why they convicted Jason and Damien. So with him recanting this confession right afterwards, it's important to note that he was offered a better deal if he would testify against Damien and Jason at their joint trial, and he refused to do that. And he has asserted his innocence ever since then. Like, he has never gone back to there's stuff all over the internet about him, like, confessing over and over again to different people. Well, no, he is, till this day, 2025, he has never, ever said anything but that he's innocent, and that entire confession was coerced. Thank you for watching our channel. We so appreciate our viewers. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share our channel, and join us for the Moms for Justice live podcast twice a week on Mondays and Friday nights.